Hello, Coder for Coffee here with episode 3 of this devlog. We are going to show some footage of playtesting my little arena combat prototype with friends and talk over it. Reminder, this is not actually the game, this is just me wanting to playtest combat. Let's get into it. So here we have 5 clients, all connecting from different locations to a server hosted in my home. We have, this deathmatch game mode. We have lots of different possessable entities, 4 of them, with different abilities. I'm currently controlling the frog and the tongue. A new thing that has been added is these resources, the purple things, that will scale how long or how much damage the ability does. So you will later see that the tongue will grow longer, the bombs will grow bigger. There is a visual bug where if it's from another client, this isn't quite happening, but you'll see it at least on my side. Those are some homing missiles flying from the red square. Let's see, what else have we added? We added some HUD visuals. If you look at the top, there should be text on the icons showing press this button for this ability. One of those is controller, one of those is keyboard and mouse. At some point I'll clean that up. Another thing I did is I added a bomb system. So I'm currently controlling the bomb entity, and you can push them around by interacting with them. And as you get more resources, those bombs get bigger. The impending doom you feel as it approaches you also scales. It's great. Last entity was the bow and arrow entity, so that pretty much summarizes it. New content was resources bomb, and we spent some time on networking. This is working pretty cleanly. I know it's showing some errors in the bottom left, but really that is some script that doesn't seem to be dying, and no one was impacted gameplay wise. Learned a lot about like the tuning of this game mode specifically. Like, I'm not making this game specifically for this. This is the first time that I had gotten to play this in a wide multiplayer faction instead of just like 1v1, and it played very differently. I learned that people lived a very long time. Alright, I wanted to make sure that the giant tongue was shown because it's just so hilarious. Look at how big it gets. I was so happy that it worked so well once I added the resource scaling that I didn't have to really tune anything. I just applied the rule. I'm like, okay, does this work? And voila, giant tongue. And I got murdered here. Alright, so getting into the breakdown of time, we spent a lot of time on our bomb system. We had to make a brand new bomb system, and we made a lot of placeholder system pieces that we can make new bombs in the future. So this was time consuming. We had to deal with the presentation side. Not only do we have to spawn these bombs, their time management of the fuse ticking down, when do they explode? Do they explode early? We also have to say when should we present what information and explosions. So we have to also send the right signals over the network to the client, so the client shows, hey, the bomb should flash 2 seconds prior to explosion, for example, and then at time of explosion event should go off, say explode, play sound, show the visual, and those pieces are already placed, but actually having the network logic and the kind of timing and systems in place to follow through into those systems was necessary. We then have a lot of work on our resources. This was a lot of my time, also a lot of the fun. It was very fun to immediately put this resource scaling rules, what it's called, onto my tongue ability and say, how long can you get? And then watch my tongue successfully grow massively long. That is not a sentence I expected to say. But we spent a lot of time on our resource system because this was brand new, and then on the presentation so that you can pick it up so that it reflects correctly on your HUD, on one of your abilities or more than one of your abilities, and then be able to see it go up and down. let's see, what else did we do? We spent some time on interactions. This wasn't too bad, actually. So we made it so that our abilities could have buttons and also the interaction prompt. So this was time for both that. And then a lot of other just unique stuff. So time on playtesting, player colors was from a little playing with my wife, trying to make the build more readable, a little music cleanup, documentation at the very end, and I summarized build cleanup with a lot of little things. So in total, we had 42 hours for this session. So if you compare last videos with this, it took that long to get there. It's a lot of work, and we have a lot more to go. So let's get into some interesting bugs. I got 3 clients here with 9 players in total. I'm going to release a bomb. And what's gonna happen is we're gonna get an error on the server that says that there is not enough bytes. And if we go look, voila, the payload size is too big. So what does this mean? Well, if you look at those numbers, to give you some perspective, before I made some changes, and you can kind of see a list of, this was my to-do list at one point. One point I was seeing on a much smaller test, like maybe 3 entities, I was seeing 2,000 bytes was too much. And I'm like, well, what do I need to get that down to? So I kind of just started paying attention to my events and that are going over the network and seeing where am I sending way more information than I need to. So really easy fixes or things to pay attention to with your network events, for example, is don't send a string over the network. How big is a string? It doesn't know per se, or it changes. I'm not exactly sure, but Copilot said, oh, don't use this, use a fixed string. Don't listen to Copilot if it tells you that. If you use a fixed string, those can get pretty big pretty fast. Maybe if you use like 8 bytes, it's within reason, but otherwise, again, that can get pretty big pretty fast. So some things that we did was changing, I had a lot of my profiles were fixed strings that said, for example, this is ability.tongue.profiles, because like that's convenient for looking up the different pieces in these databases. Instead of using the string, now it has a corresponding use short, I believe, so 2 bytes sent over the network instead of it was previously 64 bytes. And when you send 64 10 times, that's 640 bytes. It gets big really fast. So here's some of the things that I had to do was initialization of entities not sent over the network regularly. Because most of the time you already know how much health you should start with. That's not something you need the server to validate. You need changes to be validated. Let's see, anything else in here? It looks like respawn. I kind of aggregated things together. And there's more work to do here. For example, there we saw that explosion cause a payload to become too big. Maybe I wrap explosions together. Maybe I wrap damage together. In that case, it was 2 bombs going off and hitting 9 entities. So there was a lot of events firing. So like, I'm early in my project. I'm okay with the fact that it took me some work to make that happen so that I could show it. But this is one of the bugs that I face and kind of some of the steps I had to do to go and fix it. It was interesting. It's now a painful error to see because I know the kind of work it might entail. Networking is a lot of work. So where do we go from here? We're gonna make our first Zelda-like level. This will be playable with 1 to 2 players at a minimum. There is a chance that I'll also allow 1 to 2 other people to control the enemies, because that's one of the modes I want to playtest, but that might be time consuming, so don't know if that'll be too much scope or not. So that's a scope creep item, I guess, if the sprint is not too crazy large already. Then we're going to work on some locks and keys that are listed here. With that, we're going to have to add a new grapple system because we have to make the tongue even more interesting. And then some other items related to traversing a level. So if these items sound interesting or you've enjoyed watching my progress so far, tune into the next one and hope you'll come back to the next one.